Hi, everyone. It is 10:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so welcome to Tangent Tuesday. Always trying to get the screens as fair and even as possible. So we're live on Instagram and on YouTube. We get a little bit more time on YouTube, especially on these new moon ritual days, for more. Just for more, right? So as you guys come in and join me, hi, say hi, little emoji. We'll let everybody kind of gather because today's a big, long day in a good way. Like, it's our new moon. So the Tuesday closest, either before or like right on our new moon, is when we do our new moon ritual on Tangent Tuesday. So we dedicate this time to talking about the lunar energies at play, the big astrological energy at play, what's happening on the site at UnicornWellness.Studio in relationship to that, how that's helping. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Paula. And basic, housekeeping stuff, because there's a bunch of stuff going on and kind of brewing for Unicorn Wellness. And then we go through where this moon sits in your personal natal chart. So we call it Unicorn Bingo. So, you see kind of where the lessons and the blessings are slated for you in this particular new moon. And then we'll close out at the end of the hour. I'll take 10 questions for the tarot, live tarot readings. They have to be able to be answered yes or no. Hi, I'm Melinda. So I'll do 10, up to 10, because that's about as many as we can do in this hour time frame. So good morning, you guys. I have a feeling we may transition to only doing these on YouTube, but we'll see how that goes in the future. And if you guys really hate that on Instagram, then tell me. Okay. So Tuesday, as everybody joins us, let's just start with some basic housekeeping. Okay. So UnicornWellness.Studio, it's the beginning of the month, and we do follow a lunar calendar. Hi, Shauna. We do follow a lunar calendar, meaning that we're looking at new moon to new moon. So it's still the beginning of a month and the beginning of a cycle for us. There's still some Gregorian calendar things that I do. So at UnicornWellness.Studio now, today, at the beginning of the month, you all have a brand new meditation up for the month. And I just want to say, I hope nobody skips this meditation because it is super, super yummy and really magical. Last week's reading was about our, transformation time. This week is about integration of those transformations and the growth spurts energetically that we're getting. It's the same thing that we do in the physical aspect on UnicornWellness.Studios, that we're working in, gaining strength and putting forth a lot of effort for 3 weeks out of our cycle. And then, hi, Chris, in the new moon week, that's this week on the site, it's our constructive rest week. So we have a full week of stretching in order to allow integration, hi, Lacey, of the energies at play in our body. So new moon week is a big week, right? Because it starts a new cycle. It's asking us to rest and recover and be quiet and calm and listen and to integrate. These are big things, right? And so we've got the new meditation on the site this month. I love it. Please do it every day. It's super magical. I won't go into explaining the whole thing. It was a gift. It came as a channeled gift in a reading with a client. And then I reached out to the client and I was like, I'm going to share it with all of the members. I didn't name names because it was getting really loud that it needed to be shared with more than just this client. Okay. So you can thank her in the ethers for this and for allowing it to come through me. It's a really, really beautiful meditation. It has a lot to do with purification and with integration of our energetic bodies. So it's really amazing. And some months, I'm honest, I told this to a client last night. It's like some months meditations are that'll work. It fills a space. It speaks to what we need to speak to. Just like the workouts, they're always good, but then there's some series of movement that I'm like, these are amazing and they're so special. I really feel this way about the meditation for April on UnicornWellness.Studio. It's really special. And it's strangely powerful. So work the work, right? Do the practice, go hit play on the meditation. Okay, so new set of workouts, right? I mean, they're always new every 3 days on the site. The movement pattern that you're going to see in the Gregorian calendar of April has a more classical Pilates focus. This tends to be what happens in the spring, okay? And here's why. Today's the day to really, communicate as to why you see the shift. Spring comes around. It's Aries season. We're going to talk a lot about that today because our new moon this at the end of the week is in Aries. Aries is the athlete of the chart and is movement, go, 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 go. You start to see the more classical work of Pilates come in the spring on the site, like as the main focus, because one, our bodies are ready to go. I am always about balance, okay? I want you to have strength, but I want you to have mobility. I want you to have stability, but I want suppleness in the muscles, ligaments, and tendons, right? That's hello, Leo, talking to you guys. But a body needs both things in equal amounts, just as we are constantly striving to find an equal balance of masculine and feminine energies, lunar and solar energies. It's the same on the mat in the work. You do too much solar powered, masculine driving, pushing, you break shit. And if you do too much yin, too much opening, too much mobility work, you have injuries and instability. So we always want these balances. Yay, Shada. So when spring comes around, it says fresh starts, new beginnings, time to go, time to push a little bit harder in the body. The spring, supports movement patterns and new wellness patterns. So this is a beautiful time for new members to hop on the site. And it's always yay! Hi, Sarah. It's this time to really get into balance because Aries is a masculine driving force and wants to go, 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 go. But the problem with go, 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 go is that they need the balance so they don't break stuff, their own systems, other people. Okay, so the beauty of Pilates as a format is it inherently does that. It creates strength and it's always, 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 always concerned with the care of the joints and the bones and the suppleness of the movement, the quality of the movement before anything else. So April is the time where you're like, the classical stuff starts to come back. So my diehard Pilates fans, you guys are always so happy in the spring. There's still a transition time. You'll see movements from the last patterns coming into play that we're still working with, but it's a full body spectrum thing. So whereas our last series focused on the root chakra, now we're going back to like all 7 of our chakras of really looking at balance and empowerment. Okay. Yeah, spring. Well, oh no, Brandon, you've still got snow. Well, it's better in New York, at least for us. That's good. But spring is, by the calendar here. So astrologically, movement is supported now more than ever before, in particular in Aries season. So these 4 weeks, like you're ready to set a wellness pattern. You feel like you've gotten kind of stuck and kind of hibernation wise. Yeah, because it's winter, we should. This is the time to get moving again, where it's supported for the longevity of the season and of the year. Okay, so things started now, and this new moon, right, is powerful and has a lot of auspicious energy for planting sustainability for the rest of this year. Okay, so new movement, new meditation, the new moon reading is up. So the new moon reading, the monthly reading, and the full moon tarot reading are only available to members at UnicornWellness.Studio. So if you're interested in those readings, they're so good. Then you can use the 30-day guest code below to see if, what we do in a monthly cycle works for you and speaks to you. For members, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch sometime this week. We know we're going to deal with new moon energies for about 2 weeks, but it really starts today. Today's the day that we start to feel the vibes of the new moon. So if you're like, what is going on? Like, we're going to talk about it, but go watch your new moon reading, okay? More housekeeping, quick housekeeping. The Deep Dive to Thrive sessions are still on sale. They will be on sale the entire month of April. And it's just so beautiful. I know it's not for everyone. And I know that it's an investment and it's really a commitment. And that's the point, is to like invest in yourself, commit to yourself, get into the deep dive, get the feedback, get the confirmation, get the accountability, and get the call outs that you need. But more importantly, get the tools that you need. So this time of year, hi, you guys, is the only time of year that I put these on sale. So we're live on Instagram and YouTube. So hi, everybody. the Deep Dive to Thrive sessions are 20% off. It's the only time they're on sale this year. If you do not see a spot in my calendar, message me. I will make you one. If you are willing to deep dive, I will find you a spot. The sessions I've been doing, I just get so ignited and excited to see the information that comes through. And I always say that it's like, I'm a wellness witch, right? We're going to look at practical and we're going to look at magical. We're going to get insight from, divinity when we do your tarot reading at the end. But I also think I'm more of like a wellness detective. My background spans so many different things. And from my personal experience also, between personal training, movement, and nutrition and food and autoimmune issues, so many sneaky things come out that people don't realize are really hindering their progress and the results that they want. So we're looking for, both just, feeling empowered in your own skin, but we're also looking for distinct physical changes and wellness upswings and healing in injuries or in issues that you're managing in chronic illnesses. Like these, hi, you guys, the deep dive sessions are magical. Like they're magical. If you all, this is where I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit, like toot toot. If you all will listen and do what I tell you to do, things will change for the better, like in unbelievable ways. And it'll take some time, but it's not like I'm asking you all or guiding you all to do anything crazy. It's just about listening and doing practical tweaks. The session I had last night was like, like she's so educated and she's put in so much groundwork in her food and her movement. But when you lay all of it out on the table, it's like me just turning little dials of like shades of color up or down, where I'm like, well, this is why you're not getting results. So we just move this, we adjust this, we add a little bit of this, and like, give me 3 months of that consistently, you're going to get the result you want. Okay. So don't miss the Deep Dive to Thrive sale. I'm only doing it once a year. That's it. Okay. And if you all have questions about it, then ask. Okay. That was all of the housekeeping. We love housekeeping, right? Okay. So next up, I'm going to watch the clock because I try to be diligent. I really do. So new moon on Friday. Okay. The new moon on Friday is in Aries. We are already feeling its energy today. Okay, so let's talk about Aries first because it's Aries season, right? And this begins spring. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, all right? It is the most naive. It is the youngest. It is our athlete and the warrior, okay? It's very masculine energy. It's bold. It's enthusiastic. It's a little annoying sometimes because it wants to go, 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 go. Aries does not know how to rest. And so it's all fiery and it's like ready to go. So this is really what we're working on right now, and why spring is always the best time to support your wellness, right? Because the energy says, go, get up, let's get some fire going. Like it's time to move. We've had winter. So Aries season is a beautiful time to begin things because we've had winter and we've sat on ideas, we've thought about ideas, we've reevaluated ideas, we've rewritten, we've redone things. Now is the time to activate and engage with them and to put them out in the world and to start them. Yeah, Brandon, that's a very wake up at 3 a.m. and keep going. That's a very Aries thing, right? So we're in Aries season. And our new moon is in Aries. So we have all of this fire capacity. And for some of us, depending on our charts, it's going to feel really good. And we've all been feeling this little upswing of like, oh, there's some lightness, there's some air, there's some space, there's some energy. However, this new moons are always the time for fresh starts and new beginnings and planting seeds of intention, right? So we want to pose, like that this is what we're aiming to do in this next few months, right? In this cycle. And this 15 degrees of Aries sits at 15 degrees. So we've talked about how 0 to 14 degrees in the zodiac means, we've got a lot to learn. Like we really don't know much about it. So 0 to 14 is like, we're trying to learn how to be empowered. We're learning how to use our true voice. We're learning how to step out and be brave and speak in front of people and stand up for ourselves and just go for it and take the leap. 15 degrees to 29 degrees, though, says we've got some mastery and some understanding of these things right now. So how do we want to use it? So I always talk about Aries as all the firepower. It's so exciting. Fire is magic. Aries is great manifestation energy. However, when you have too much firepower, then you burn down the whole forest. So we don't want to burn down the forest, right? We want to find this like sweet spot where we can ignite our intentions, set our intentions, and really have them come into fruition and be brave and to step into our empowerment and into the things we really want, right? So this new moon sits at 15 degrees of Aries, and it says you've learned some stuff. You have learned how to be more comfortable and empowered in yourself. You've learned how to speak up. We still have some practice for mastery in here, but it's totally okay to step forward and start something new because you're not totally brand new. Brand new baby Aries, man, they step forward and they fall off the front of the cliff and they break their arm. Do you know what I mean? Like they go too fast, too hard, and they're not looking. 15 to 29 degrees of Aries says you can take a little bit of a risk because you're looking a little bit farther ahead and you're a little bit more mature, okay? So this new moon sits at 15 degrees of Aries. We're sitting in its energy right now of really going, what do I want? We feel that we really want things to come to manifestation. And we've got this like go, go, go energy. But so yesterday in our weekly tarot, I went over some of the energies of the week. The moon is in Pisces for like the first couple days today. Then it moves, into Aries, and then it moves into Taurus. So we have like a wily emotional week of totally fogged out in the ethers, magical, intuitive. Then we move into go, 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 go. Don't think about it. Just go have fun. And then we move into Taurus, which is like, how do you want your home set? It's a little cozier. It's more stability. It's about long term, and it's really about enjoying yourselves. So the overall look of the week is really nice. And yesterday's tarot reading, though, I mentioned there's still so much in Pisces. So we have this new moon that should say like, yes, like go start the new business, go aim for the new job, ask somebody out, like ditch these old ways of like thinking about yourself in small ways, because Aries is me, I. So its imbalance can be really egotistical, but its constructive balance is like empower, like this is me, take it or leave it. Here's what I want to do. I'm not going to plow you down. This moon has all of this good juju behind it, but then we've got a lot of things in Pisces that are still kind of suppressing us and holding us down or making us feel really uncomfortable or really conflicted. So I feel like yesterday we talked about that Mercury, Neptune, and the moon are all sitting, and Venus in Pisces. Pisces is water, Aries is fire. Pisces is the most mature and the end of the zodiac. Aries is the least mature of the zodiac and the beginning of the zodiac, okay? So from here, we've got these big transitions, and it does feel conflicting. And for some of us, it's going to feel like these surges of anger and frustration, or just conflict and a lot of anxiety. The way it's compressing and brewing each other. There's so much magic in the ethers. It's an excellent time for reading or for asking for questions and really getting answers, which today will be interesting in our tarot readings. But it's also Aries season. Aries has a temper. Aries is like not patient in the least bit. Yeah, so it's like we feel all of this magic and we're ready to go, but then there's this weird anxiety and this weird like, oh God, I'm still gonna get a no, or somebody's gonna say something mean, because Pisces can be the victim, right? And nothing ever goes our way, and we're so like watery and emotional, and everything hurts our feelings. So I had this really beautiful meditation this morning, and I thought, I wish that would have been a meditation for this month. I don't. The meditation that's on the slide is stunning. Energetically, like really cool. But this one this morning, I thought, oh, this is a really good way to sum this up. So today's new moon ritual is all about understanding this moon and how to work with it. One, I love to empower you all with information that gives you permission to feel uncomfortable and gives a reason for like, oh, well, that's why I feel that way. That's why this is going on, because this looks like this on paper, but I feel this way about it. There's a lot of conflicting energy at play right now that says burst forth, go, do, be brave, be bold. And then this other energy that says, let's just sit and be dreamy and meditate, and like, ow, all of people are going to say weird things to me, and I'm not going to do that. And it's no way it's going to work because it's never worked before. Okay. So this energy, I want you all to think of it as Pisces coming up from the bottom, right? Ocean water. So think about it in terms of your own body, and we can even do kind of a mini meditation, thing of like in a comfortable seated or standing position, like get both feet on the floor. If you're on the floor, cross-legged is fine. And really imagine ocean water, from the feet coming up through the feet and really washing up to the midline. It's not the midline of the body, like around the belly button. This would be around the solar plexus, right? Manifestation central. And think about Aries energy, because it's solar, it's sunshine. And right, Pisces energy is lunar and it's water. So lunar energy coming up to the midline of the body around your belly button, and solar energy, fire, coming from the top into that belly button line also, and they meet, okay? Once they meet, allow them to do kind of a little swirly yin-yang thing. And as they yin-yang and brew, allow the fire that's coming down and the water that's coming up to brew into smoke. And then feel that smoke clear out the body, top and bottom. So then it moves from the middle to the top and the bottom. Play with this in meditation, and maybe I'll record an extra one. Maybe this will be next month's meditation on the site. So beautiful. Okay. Water is cleansing. Fire can be cleansing. Smoke is cleansing and clearing. Our reading last week called us out that the balance of what we're sort of supposed to be working on is the balance between masculine and feminine energy, right? Lunar and solar energy. This meditation could just be the thing that unlocks it and allows us to get comfortable in the discomfort, right? Yes, Chris. So feeling the elements in meditation is a really powerful thing. And the reason I'm bringing this to you is because we want our practical practices, right, of meditation and movement and fuel to reflect and balance and work with what we're getting energetically. There is a huge push of Aries energy. Aries always gets what it wants and always wins, either by force or by balance, right? I mean, you can't talk them out of anything. So then you have the Pisces energy, so magical. It's all the magic, all of the support, all of the oracleness, all of the imagination, all of the potential and possibility, right? So rather than being overwhelmed by the tsunami, being overtaken by those lunar energies and that water energy, and just being like, I can't do it, so I'm not going to do anything. The detriment of Pisces is that we never do anything because we feel so victimized and so hurt, and everything feels so overwhelming. Life is hard. And so with Pisces, you don't want the tsunami to take over. Same with Aries. You don't want the fire to take over. It'll burn down everything in its path. You end up with no friends. No, you may have the goal, but it's all a little cost a little too much, karmically, and you really stepped on people and crushed some things along the way. Balance is always key. Again, why I love the work of Pilates inherently as a format, because it strives for balance, equal length with equal strength, equal mobility with equal stability. And so this energy in particular, yesterday's weekly tarot, so if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. There was a real call out to anxiety. And so anxiety is a few things, right? It's psychic energy that's being ungrounded. That's number one. It's like it rattles around in your body, right? And it's got to have some place to go. And then you start thinking about all the things that could go wrong. So meditation is number one to ground that anxiety. Movement, our movement on the mat is grounding movement. Go get on the mat, right? But anxiety is also worry and fear and putting energy towards things that have never happened yet, or focusing on the bad things that have happened and just guaranteeing that they'll happen again, that there's no potential for change and no potential for evolution, which is untrue. So the solvers and the medicine for anxiety, in this spiritual energetic aspect of it, is that one, is a physical body, we do what we need to do to balance, right? But we also want to harness and we want to learn how to work with things. So movement, conscious movement, grounded movement, meditation, refocusing, things that have already happened in the past, we cannot do those over. We can learn from it. So how did that go wrong? Is there something we can do to adjust that? Can we prevent some of those things? Like learning to put seatbelts in cars. They didn't used to have them, right? We cannot prevent every car accident, but we can make it a little smoother and a little bit more protected. So this Aries Pisces energy is asking us to do that in our own lives. We can't prevent things from happening. We can't know everything. Working with astrology and with the tarot is not about fortune telling and saying this is the way it is. Fate and free will. Free will is the most powerful thing. The choices that you make, the changes that you make, the tactics that you take, these are powerful, and they have the power to shift and heal and change and generate miracles. But you got to keep your focus in the right place, because energetically, if we're still focusing on the negative stuff, that's what comes to fruition. Okay. So bringing it back a little bit, this new moon may feel wonderful depending on where Aries sits in your chart. But depending on where Pisces sits in your chart, it may feel really conflicted and really mucky, because remember, Aries is the warrior and the athlete. He wants to go. He's going. He's got plans. He's got 4 costume changes. Like, we are going to go. Okay. And Pisces just wants to float and go, well, if we get there, that's cool. If we, I'm really good right here, right now. And Pisces will miss things, right? The stores will close because they didn't get there in time. And so there is this conflicted energy of go or stay. Honor both of them, but alchemize them into smoke. So I feel like this alchemization of like the water coming up and the fire coming down into this swirl of smoke. I mean, just sage, right? Smoke rituals. It's cleansing and it's clearing. But I saw it as like this puff of smoke of like the most magical witch or the most magical sorcerer, of like, all of a sudden, like moving to a different space and time, right? Because the smoke came up. We are being offered energetic transitions to a different space and time from an ascension, whether it's 3D, 5D, or 7D, or 9D. Like 9 would be a little extreme right now, but 5 and 7 are within reach for some of us from a frequency space, right? So it's almost like if we can work with the discomfort and understand where we need to push a little bit more, where we need to imagine and allow a little bit more, where we need to forgive. This is a true alchemization set point for us. That the things that we set intention-wise in this new moon, if we're really allowing the alchemization and the balance of energies and to begin with a clean slate, then there's some real magic for the rest of the year. And this goes along with everything else. 2019 is magical and full of blessings, but you got to do the work first. And 2019 didn't really begin until just 2 weeks ago with the spring equinox. That's the astrological new year. So we're in this fresh, clean slate space, but understand that transformation is uncomfortable and gets a little sticky, tricky on the way out with your new wings. It's okay. So as much as this new moon is Aries and says guns blazing, go, 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 I say, hang on. Use that as the upswing for positive energy to help get your brain in new spaces. I think that movement is always powerful, important, but your workout right now is really important to clear out the old mucky energies. This is also about being brave and bold in new set points and how you think about things, and then how your perspective is. How do you work with ideas? How do you work with challenges? If you're a Taurus, I'm a Taurus sun, and your instinct is to always say no first thing. Maybe we can adjust that to a maybe, or a let me think about it. It's Aries set where you say yes to everything. Meanwhile, they haven't thought it through. They can't afford it. They jump off the cliff and there's no parachute. So there's a real balance being asked always, but intensely right now, between the Pisces and the Aries energy, between lunar and between solar energy. So, I'm going to offer you all a step that I offered a client with a reading, I think it was last week, is make a list for yourself of all of your solar qualities. And these would be considered masculine in nature, but these are bold, these are empowered, these can be aggressive, it can be destructive. It's fiery, like ideas and travel, risk-taking, like where are all of these pieces? Like how many, fiery qualities do you feel that you have? And then, on the other side, make a list of your lunar qualities: capacity to listen, intuition, suppleness, flexibility in schedule, flexibility in the body, waiting, patience. Ooh, so look at where these lists fall for you in this new moon, and then see, where you can add or adjust. So again, it's not that we want one side to win over the other or that one is better than the other. Balance is always best. So when I look at your astrological chart, or when I look at your body from a personal training set point, I look for the imbalance, because I know if I train to the imbalance, it strengthens the whole of the system. So if you can, spend a little time with your lunar and solar qualities and look where you can strengthen the system, this is going to be a magical new moon for you. Okay. All right, you guys. Timing. Look at me go. Okay. Any questions about that? Meaning Aries energy, Pisces energy, what's sitting in Pisces, where Aries is calling us to do. Aries is, the imbalance of Aries is ego, argument, and destruction and impatience. Its balance is athletic, warriors who protect and always win because it's heart-centered protection. And the balance is in a constructive naivete, right? Beginner's luck is real because you don't know all the ways it can go wrong. You're like, I just did it because I just assumed it would work the right way. So that's the best part of Aries, is like they can manifest simply because they just didn't think it'd go wrong, so they end up doing a lot of things that other people couldn't pull off because they would run through all the ways in which it would go wrong. So this new moon asks us to be a little bit naive, to get some of our beginner's luck again. What can we look at, or what can we start over from the beginning, from a fresh set point of like, there are no failures, there are no insults, there are no, bad repercussions from things, and begin again. Yeah. So Chris, when it comes to particular individual charts, I don't go through individual charts in these lives because it's just too much. Okay. You can look them up online. I mean, there's lots of resources, and I really like the book, the only astrology book you'll ever need. It's a great beginner book for your personal chart. When it comes to solar and lunar qualities, it's really simple. It's just what I said. Solar is in bold and courageous and brave and out there. It's typically considered masculine energy. It's aggressive. You think about like high heat in the summer. It's like blazing, and it amplifies things, and it's out there. Okay. Lunar energy is considered feminine energy. It's quieter. It's associated with the moon. It's, meditation, intuition, listening skills, patience. And it's really, more of the water quality in the dark, in the nighttime, what happens, in the subconscious realms of things. So, when you look at these two sets of qualities, just start to kind of, this is the work, right? Self-evaluation, self-reflection. Who are you? How do you see yourself? And then this is a big call out to, at some point in the future, if you feel like it and you can, book a Simple Stars reading for me, because this is exactly what I do in the Simple Stars, is that I give you your full astrological chart, and I break down the foundation of your sun, your rising, and your moon, and how these combos speak. Because everybody has all 12 signs of the zodiac in their chart, but the way the pie is and the way the layers of the cake sit, they mean different things to different people. So we cover the general in these new moon rituals, and we're going to get into unicorn bingo. Like, if you know where Aries sits in your chart, these are the kinds of things you're going to be dealing with in this cycle, and in this moon. So it's hard to say, like, of which things. Don't think of solar and lunar qualities as relationship to your sun and your moon placement. That's not what I mean right now. Right now, I just mean the qualities of yin and yang, of soft and hard. And these don't have to be bad. I mean, solar energy teaches us independence, and lunar energy teaches us nurturing and nourishing. So there's a point to every bit of it, and we're all looking for more of these pieces. Solar is more physical, and lunar is more emotional. So again, just kind of where, again, not a pro and con list, but a solar lunar list of how do you see yourself? Do you perceive yourself of having a lot of firepower, a lot of aggressive, like, empowered, powerful, capable of protecting, capable of claiming, capable of like going and getting it kind of energy? Or is there a real lack in the capacity to listen and to wait and to be patient and to, journal and think about things and to really feel the feels? I'm trying to look at where. Yeah, I mean, there's some confusion with Neptune in Pisces, like a lot of confusion, actually. Watery energy can be really confused energy. So why it's really important to meditate right now and to get on the mat, to get embodied in the physical body. And yesterday, that was the thing I wanted to really highlight for you all. It's really important to be embodied in Aries season, because you need to be connected to the physical body. When you are connected to the physical body through thoughtful, mindful movement, like getting on the mat at UnicornWellness.Studio, then that will stop you from putting yourself in harm's way, because Aries thing is getting over impetuous. And I don't mean this from a strictly physical standpoint. When you are embodied, when your soul is integrated into the physical body through conscious movement and meditation, then you have a greater source of protectiveness for yourself and consciousness about when to ask like things of other people and when to ask for things and when to move forward with things. Embodiment is unbelievably important in general in 3D incarnation, but it's incredibly powerful in Aries season. Don't not work with your body right now. Go walk, get on the mat, do some things that are uncomfortable that you haven't done in a long time. Reflect on what your body used to be able to do, what you want it to do. Start from right now. Get honest with the physical body, because embodiment means a connection and like the fusion and integration of your soul and spirit in this physical vessel. And if I teach nothing else, that's what I teach. That there is magic in the movement of the body, because it's inherently taking care of the soul and allowing the soul and the spirit to feel protected and to feel safe in this vessel. And Aries season calls you to move. And that can just be in the mind. Again, it doesn't have to be like you go launch the business right now or you go ask somebody to marry. I mean, I don't know. That it means that it's time to move. It's time to get things moving. It's time to stir the pot of energy and to brew, and you can't sit anymore. This is not the contemplative hibernation of the hermit anymore. Not at all. So like get on the mat, work with the embodiment, understand embodiment as being the connection and the fusion and the integration and the settling and the joining of the soul and the physical vessel. And again, if I teach anything, that's what I teach. You don't even have to think about the planets if you don't want to. You don't have to be interested in the astrology if you don't want to be. You just need to go to the site, UnicornWellness.Studio, and press play and be with yourself in your physical body. Allow for the emotional changes and purging and upgrades to happen and the intellectual connections to happen, and understand how to value and self-respect the body. But by tending to the body, you tend to the spirit and the soul. So physical respect, protection, and movement leads to spiritual evolution. It's just that stepping stone, right? Okay, so here we go. Let's go through Unicorn Bingo. So for those of you who are here, if you have your Simple Stars chart done by me, then you have your astrological natal birth chart. I work in a whole house sign chart. If you've had a chart pulled by someone else or you've pulled your own, make sure that it's a whole house sign chart. It will sit slightly differently. And it's just like, teaching Fletcher Pilates versus, traditional Pilates, classical Pilates. Same, language, but slightly different in its viewpoints. So again, we're working with a whole house sign chart when I'm going through it. So when we play Unicorn Bingo, it's like the speed round. Look for where Aries falls in your chart, okay? So in the circle, in the chart, it's a circle, and there's little triangles, little pie pieces. Inside those pie pieces, there's little numbers, and that's the number of the house that it sits in. Look for Aries and see what house it sits in. That's number 1 for Unicorn Bingo, okay? Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit like in my newsletter that is sent out every month. You all will get the newsletter. It comes out on the new moon, so it'll come out Friday. There are directions in the newsletter about how to pull your own chart. So you can pull your own chart. but the type of chart matters when you're working with me. So the Unicorn Bingo really began because members had booked their simple stars reading, and I didn't have an offering, to do a reading every time every new moon came up. So we integrated it into the new moon ritual. So I always give you all your charts. Then once you have your chart from me, then each of these new moons makes sense because you pull it out and you go, oh, it sits right here. Okay, ears up. This is what I'm listening for. And until you have your chart, it's just kind of ears up in like a little floaty way. If you know that Aries is your rising sign, then you know Aries is in your first house in a whole house sign chart. So there's that information to work with, okay? And you could kind of clockwork piece it together as to where Aries sits in the rest of the zodiac, but we don't have time for that today. So here we go. See where Aries falls in your chart, in what house it is. If Aries is in the first house, this is your rising sign, okay? So, okay, so here we go. We're going to go through it because I've got like 15 minutes or less really to go through Unicorn Bingo. So the first house is the house of I am, who am I? How do I deal with myself? Okay, so if Aries is in your first house, you're going to be dealing with issues of identity. And this may be about a fresh start and a new beginning. And how do you deal with yourself? Are you usually really aggressive and destructively self-speaking? This is a time to start fresh and go, no, I'm going to say wonderful things to myself. And I'm going to catch myself when I say negative stuff. And I'm going to go cancel. And I'm going to reword it so it's for the highest and greatest good of myself, not staying in these old patterns of self-destruction. Okay. So if Aries is in your first house, you're dealing with issues of identity. Who am I? How does the world see me? How do I present myself? What's my true heart-centered path? And then how do I deal with myself? How do I talk to myself? How do I scold myself? How do I reward myself? How do I nourish myself? Okay. If it's in the second house, you're going to be dealing with how you gather your goods. This can be scheduling. I always look at it as simple scheduling. Food, water, shelter. How do you get what you need? This is not particularly career. This is functionally, how do you function? I have Virgo in the second house, which means in order for me to get anything done, I have to make a list and I need a calendar. And it mostly has to do with lists. I need to know in what order and check it off, right? That doesn't have to do with my career or my set pattern. That's how I get it done. So if Aries is in the second house, you are going to be dealing in this new moon with new ways of getting things done. And typically Aries is pretty aggressive and go, 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 go. So if you're being asked at looking at new ways of doing it, you may be asked to integrate more lunar qualities, go softer, listen more, anchor into intuition and into spell casting and into ritual, so that you're working on an energetic level rather than a make it happen kind of level. Okay. The third house is how you communicate, how you connect with your outside community. Okay. So Aries in the third house can be coaches and teachers, the people who are, in the community in a movement centered way, typically. They could be teachers, but this is always, again, when we're looking for balance, it's going to call you to maybe draw back, be more of a listener and a follower rather than the person. Here's what I see right now. If Aries is in your third house, you might be on a council or at work in a meeting, and you're always the naysayer, of how that's not going to work or how that's not fair or how that just doesn't, then start to look at your wording and how you approach things and go, why am I going to say no to that automatically? Because I don't think it's going to work, but it could work like this, or if we adjusted this, and start to think more thoughtfully. The way you connect with people is more community oriented rather than I, me, what I think about it. So the third house is how you connect with your community. Then if it's in your fourth house, the fourth house is your house of home. But from a spiritual perspective, the fourth house is your sense of safety and security in the world. So you could be dealing with money issues. You could be dealing with literally house, home, apartment, where am I going to live physically issues. So just be on the lookout for those transitions and changes. The fifth house is your house of creativity. What do I make in the world? What do I put out in the world? This could be physical children. This could be businesses. This could be genuine works of art. But this is, what do I give to the world. And so your creativity may be going, through a dry spell or an upswing, but really look at what you make and give in the world. And if you really are in a place of like not making or not giving, this new moon is a fresh start, a new beginning of how can I create something? It could be as simple as taking some sort of art class. A little bit of art therapy goes a long way. Like just getting more into a creative flow. Again, Aries is a drive. Fire is creative energy, but it doesn't always allow for flow. Okay. If Aries is in your sixth house is how do I love? How do I show up for people? How do I express my love in the world? Okay. So sixth house, is again, look for ways in which you connect to other people. How can you help other people? Fifth house is what do I create? What can I give? And sixth house is how can I help? So how can you make something better in the world? I also hear for yourself though, how can I help myself? Because Aries is egocentric, it's self-centered, and that can be really constructive. So I'm hearing for those of you that they're here or watching this video or listening that the sixth house highlight is going to be how can you help yourself? That there's some space where you're not nourishing and nurturing or being empowered or being bold and stepping forward. There's an imbalance in the self-help. Okay. The seventh house, if Aries is in your seventh house, this is how you deal with relationships. Literally the question of the seventh house is, how do I deal with others? Okay. So Aries in the seventh house could be like, you just plow people down and tell them how it's going to be. And there's not a lot of space for listening in it. That's the bad imbalance. Best imbalance about Aries is that it's enthusiastic. It's always like, yeah, let's go do that. That you may be a really enthusiastic Aries in the seventh house, that you're constantly a support for other people. Look at how you support your relationships. This new moon will call out to how do you participate in your personal relationships and with others. Okay. Eighth house. So if you have Aries in the eighth house, eighth house is the house of death and sex. It's an interesting place to have Aries because Aries is a very sexual sign, because it's firepower and it's masculine. So this can be a time to look at, are you getting enough sensual pleasures? How do you connect with not only your body, but other people's bodies, and maybe it's just a little, you need to turn the dial up, or maybe you need to turn the dial down on it. So look at that. It's also the house of clearing. How well do you handle things and get past things and allow them to leave in order for the space for new and fresh things to come in for manifestation? But I hear in this moon, it's a lot about sensual pleasures and sexual energy and having some focus there, right? Everything in balance is what we're striving for. Ninth house. The ninth house is how you connect to yourself on the inside, but that's how you connect to spirit and how do you connect to the divine, because we on our insides are divine. It's our soul. So how do you connect at a soul spiritual level? Aries in the ninth house always has to do with movement, mindful workouts, because Aries is the athlete and the warrior. Embodiment is unbelievably empowered and powerful. So again, why in Aries season, I bring you guys back into a practical Pilates practice, and why it's the best time to engage in a wellness movement pattern, because it's supported by the ethers in all the ways. So in the ninth house, working out is like how you get your soul straight. It's how you get grounded. And it may very well be like while you're doing some, moving meditation, a little bit of trampoline work, a little bit of cardio, or in your stretches or in your movement patterns, that you ask things and you start to get answers. You have the ahas and the realizations. So if Aries is in your ninth house, you best be on the mat with me, UnicornWellness.Studio, like now, this week, today, because this is showing you where the goods are going to come from and how to connect to spirit. 10th house is the house of empowerment. So this is how you take, it has a lot to do with legacy, like what legacy you're leaving in the world. So 10th house is going to have to do with career and jobs or transitions of titles, or where you feel comfortable and how you're really feeling empowered and confident. So if you are, a stay-at-home caregiver, it doesn't mean you don't do that anymore, but it may be a shift of how you see or perceive the gifts that you're giving in the role that you have. Or maybe it's time for a part-time job, or maybe you're in this transition of moving out of the home into the world again a bit more. And so there's a real transition of empowerment and how you claim your space in the world. The 11th house is the house of like social endeavors, but it's also, you know, how you give your gifts. But I want to focus on the networking and social endeavors. Aries in the 11th house it goes two ways. You either have a ton of friends and networking communities because everything's yes and you're go, 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 and you go to all the parties and you go to all the events and like you're always present and you're always out in the open. Or there's not a lot there because you've just pissed everybody off because you want everything your way, and it's difficult to work with the community. So 11th house is about how you network and the people in your life, like how they show up for you. And so take a look at that. If there's not very many people in your life right now, look at how you can take some adjustment and responsibility and go, would I like more people in my life? Maybe not. Maybe it's just fine. And how can you make some adjustments within this Aries firepower? Yes or no? Or if there's a lot of people in your life, just be really grateful for it. Or if there's too many people, you go, how do I need to make some adjustments with this? This may be a time to step forward and go, this relationship is not healthy. It's not serving me. I don't need to participate in this anymore. This is a time suck and a leak of my energy. Like, no. Okay. And then the 12th house is the house of the unseen. This is where hidden talents lie. And I love to look at it from the hidden talents perspective. If Aries is in your 12th house, then I feel like it's just fact that you know for a fact there's some sort of physical hidden talent you haven't discovered yet. Like maybe you're awesome at ice skating. Maybe you really are a true yogi. Maybe you missed your calling at taking gymnastics as a kid and you need to go enroll in a tumbling class. Like there's something movement wise that's very empowering and powerful that you need to go discover to feed the sense of self-worth and confidence and bravery and courageousness in the world. Okay. All right. Oh, there you go. 6th house covered. There you go, Anita. Okay, so a little bit of a time check here. We'll move into the tarot card readings, okay? For those of you who are on Instagram, I think it's best at this time if you join us on YouTube, or I will take the first 2 questions from Instagram potentially, just because it'll time out. Instagram gives us an hour and YouTube lets us stay as long as we like. So here's how the tarot questions go. Everyone is allowed 1 question, no double M's. I'll take up to 10 questions depending on what time allows. The questions have to be phrased in a way that can be answered yes or no, because it's like a quick draw, it's a single card thing. I will answer them, and if there's additional information that comes through in the channel aspect, then I'll share it for you. But this is like the quick and the dirty, okay? If you want to book a personal reading with me and have, you know, the full amount of time of like 32 minutes to an hour, then you can do that at tandygutierrez.com. There's always appointments available. Please like this video on YouTube before we exit out here too. You can do it now. Subscribe to the channel so you know when I go live. Mondays and Tuesdays are our live times. And if you're interested in really working the embodiment aspect of this Aries new moon, you can do it for free. So there's a code below in the description on YouTube or on my channel in any of the videos, or on Instagram. So the Instagram code, just so I've said it out loud, it's TGIG19. You use it at checkout at UnicornWellness.Studio. That's 30 days guest membership on the site. If you don't cancel it, and you want to stay a member, payment begins on day 31, but you can cancel anytime before that. It's like 0 strings. Okay, here we go. All right, for those of you who have questions for the tarot, you better start typing because it is a first come, first serve, okay? So phrase your question in a way that can be answered yes or no. I can sometimes ask you guys to rephrase your questions because I want you to have a real answer, okay? And it really does matter how we ask. I'm using the Robin Wood Tarot today. This is the spring deck. It's pretty classical. So here we go. Rupali, so will Jay initiate contact around May this year? Okay, it was a yes before the card came out. So you asked, will Jay initiate contact around May this year? That's a yes. This is about the magician. Okay. So this is, I'm trying to show it to where both. Oh, and Melinda, you're on Instagram. Instagram is going to time out here pretty quick. I'm telling you right now, because we're towards that hour mark, but YouTube, we're still on. Okay. So that's a yes, because this is the magician card. So the magician card knows how to make things happen. It's the beginning of the zodiac. I'm trying to put it to where both screens can see it. This is about knowing all of the elements at play and how to get them to work together for the greatest good of all and really manifest something. So that's a yes. I like that first one being positive. Okay. And then the next one, John. Oh, it's Becky. Hi, Becky. Should you take a new job opportunity and leave your current employer? Well, that's a yes. And it like flew out. Okay. So that's the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is Aries in a nutshell. It's like, yes, go, run. Like it's very excited about things and it's totally bold and really, really like out there, like zero stops. That's a yes. Okay. Brandon had an intimate conversation with an old friend. Will that become sexual? In Aries season? That's a good question. Okay. Brandon. Intimate conversation. Will that become? That's funny because that's a yes. And it's a part of me goes, is it a threesome? Like, you know, this is celebration. This is creative energy. This is feminine energy, but there's definitely 3 people there. So what was that conversation? I want to know. But this is always celebration. This is old friends gathering, and it's often very lighthearted, but very reflective. That's a yes. I mean, there's just not much more than that. That's just joy and celebration. That's fun. Okay. Here we go. All right. Anita, will I finally have a stable decision on my career plans by the end of the month? Okay. Will you have a stable decision on your career plans by the end of this month? Let's say this month, April. Yeah, because you said this month. Okay. So this is the Fool, right? This is the very beginning of the tarot. This is a yes, no. Okay. This is yes, you will have plans by the end of this month for your career path, but stable is not what this is looking at. The Fool asks us to take a leap of faith that you are doing something totally new, that it's unpaved territory. This can be very entrepreneurial of like, there's not a template for this. I'm just going to try it and wing it. So that's the yes, no of it. But the Fool tells us to be brave and to take the leap and to trust and to really go for it and to like do it, like take the risk. You got to trust and surrender. Big leap means big reward. You never take a leap of faith. There's no reward. Okay. So there you go, Anita. And Anita too, I remember you had comments that you were like, you usually come to these things on your own intuitively. A lot of times when I'm doing card readings and these new moons, this is just confirmation for you all to not feel alone in the world, right? The energies are the energies. And it sounds like you're very attuned to what's going on. Like, trust that and show up and hang out with us and just get confirmation and enjoy like, yeah, I live in this magical space and that's how I get my answers and how I make my decisions. Yeah, of course. Okay, going back to the questions. Let's scroll through. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Melinda. Hey, Mama. Will the collaboration between Anita and Louis J for Move sell? Are you and Anita friends? Okay. Will the collaboration between, let's just say this. Will the collaboration for Move sell? Well, the collaboration. Interesting. Okay. This is one of those yes, no cards. And I know you guys are like, but I wanted a yes or a no. Well, we still have to be responsible for things that happen. So you're asking if this collaboration will sell. This is the 8 of Swords. Okay. 8 of Swords is a really interesting card. 8 of Swords says it all depends on your perspective and your thought process and where you're focusing on this. If you get stuck in fear, then no, it's not going to. If you are allowed empowerment, then yes. Okay. So again, it's a bit of of a yes, no, it's kind of putting the responsibility on you and your mindset and what you're focused on. 8 is the number of empowerment. Swords is always about intellect, acumen, thought processing, and your subconscious. I'm trying to get it to where it'll show on Instagram also. Subconscious processing. But the crazy thing about this card is it looks really threatening and looks like, oh, no, like, no, that's definitely a no, because that's scary. There's 8 swords and she's bound. Well, the thing that you don't see is that 1, there's nobody there wielding those swords, so there's nothing to be scared of. 2, her hands are untied behind her back. She could wiggle out of those silk wraps at any point. It's a matter of perception. So if you perceive that it's hard and that it's threatening, then it is, right? She can't see anything either. So it's like, what's really the threat here? Nothing but her own thoughts. Okay, so this is really about intention setting and manifestation and getting clear about how you think this can and should go. So this is one of those clearings of Aries of like, are you working in false paradigms and old ways of thinking? Instagram, I love you. It's going to time out in 13 seconds. You can join us on YouTube or watch the remainder of it later on YouTube, okay? All right, let's look for the next question. Okay, I'm scrolling through, you guys. Okay, Shauna, should you actively pursue additional revenue? Should you actively pursue additional revenue? Sometimes it takes me a minute. Okay, this is the Emperor. I hear no, okay, Shauna, that you should not actively pursue a second job. You may need to pursue something else for the long term, okay? I hear that this sometimes, right? Okay, I'm not going to qualify it. Here we go. You're stuck in the lack mindset in the here and the right now. The Emperor says you need to be looking at long-term strategy, big pictures, that you're getting caught up in the fear of the right now, and you're not actually putting the focus on the vision for the future, and you don't have faith in the future right now. You're allowing what is in this 3D world to really get you scared and scurrying and running. The Emperor says sometimes you got to lose a battle. Sometimes you got to get sand kicked in your face, because the long-term strategy of it is much more sound and more important and will win. So he's very much like, I'm going to lose this battle because I'm looking for the war sort of thing. So I hear that you may need to look at something else for the long-term future, but this isn't about stringing things together for short-term again and again. Like, you're getting caught up in that, and you need to really settle your energies. You need to meditate, you need to journal, and you need to get on the mat, and you need to be really practical about what are you trying to do long-term. This is about long-term strategy. Answer the long-term strategy question, then you can come back to the short-term second source of revenue. Yes, you may need a second source of revenue, but this isn't like a part-time job thing. This is, what is the goal for the future? Like, what are you really trying to do on a grand scale, and work backwards from the big umbrella? Okay. Let's look. Okay, I'm going through the comments, so bear with me. Hang in there. Okay. Melinda, that was a yes. I love it. Okay. Okay, hang on. Sorry, there's lots of wonderful comments, so I'm just trying to track through and not miss one. Chris. Okay, so Chris, you're next. Will Elizabeth be healed enough to travel this weekend? Will Elizabeth be healed enough to travel this weekend? I want that one. Okay. I know you guys are like, what's with the yes, no? There's a yes to this. Okay. But for some reason, I'm hearing that there's an emotional healing that's at play here, that it's more emotional than it is physical. And that there's something about the long-term transition into making mature decisions emotionally, that like the travel seems, I hear a little frivolous and immature, and that maybe it's not necessary. So it's a yes, no. Like, yes, physically, I think all of that's fine. There's an emotional healing that's happening here. And so you have to allow the time for the emotional healing. The dolphin's in the background, right? So there's play there. There's something else in this question though, and I don't know what it is, because it's not just about healing like a physical wound in order to be able to go do something. There's something deeper here. So yes, physically fine to travel. There are deeper emotional wounds that are healing here and at play. And the care of the emotional needs to be at the forefront. And there needs to be a maturity about how healing occurs. That's what I'm getting. I'm making that face because I realize that may not have directly answered what you asked, but that's what came through. Okay. Let me read through. Here we go. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, you're welcome, Melinda. Okay, here. Yeah, Shauna, there you go. Erica, hi, Mama. Hi. Okay. Okay, Chris. So the physical wounds is a yes, like, because there's a dolphin, it's playtime and it's stable, like that's very stable. Just know that the emotional stuff is like brewing and it needs some hand holding, and it needs some tenderness that you can't see. You know, like it's going to take a little more. Okay. Why don't we do 2 more? So Taryn. Let's do Taryn's question, and then Erica, you got in under the wire. If you want to ask something, if you tap real fast, I'll let yours be the last one. If you don't have a question, that's fine too. Okay, it's 11:07, and so we kind of usually end around 11:15, so we'll be right on time. Okay, Taryn. So will your husband transition to a job that seems to be a better fit for him this spring? Okay, we got to reword that question because I can't answer that. Well, I can't answer that. Why do we need to reword it? Will my husband transition to a job that seems to be a better fit for him this spring? I think there's some open-endedness there. Is there a particular job that you want to know about? Like, is there a job on the table right now that you're asking if he should transition to in the spring, or is this nebulous? That's a yes. Okay, so I feel like this is a should my husband transition to the job that seems to be a better fit for him this spring. Because, yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Should your husband transition to a job that seems to be a better fit for him this spring? That's a yes also. That's the magician. That's making things happen. That's new things happening. This is having all the elements at play that can really manifest new, good, wonderful things that you're aiming at. Magician makes stuff happen. And it's Aries energy. So there's a lot of firepower. Aries energy can be unbelievable manifestors and sorcerers of like thinking things through. Like I said, they manifest, right? Because they have that naivete, like, of course it's going to work. It's me, you know, but that works because it puts that energy out there. Oh, Paula, love you too. Okay, so Erica, if you want to ask a question, or for anybody that wants to ask one more question, whoever types fastest wins. There we go. Yay! Okay, so Erica, last question. Will you be falling into your boss's role in an unexpected, unwanted promotion this week? Okay, we got cards flying out. This is the last card. Actually, maybe if we do it quick. SG, who's SG? Yes, you can ask a question because we still got 5 minutes. So that'll be the last question, okay? So Erica, this is yours. SG, yes, you can ask a question because we have just enough time for one more, okay? So Erica, will you be falling into your boss's role? This little card's loud and it was flying out. That's a yes because that's celebration. Like, that's a yes, that there's going to be transition for you in an unexpected way. Potentially into that boss's role if it's right. But that's such a celebration. Like, that's such a gift. I mean, that there's got to be, you know, some increase. Right. A celebration of like, hey, you are female with a baby bacon right now, and you're going to get this movement forward. Like, celebrate that. That's really beautiful. And then feeling like, oh God, there's so many things to handle right now. I can handle all of these things right now. I'm getting to do this right now. Like, holy cow. Like, and I have to say that for magical mamas, when we are with baby, it seems like we can manifest bigger things. Like that magical energy is like, because you feel like it when it rains, it pours. You're like, I am pregnant and this is happening and we're moving and I'm going to be, you know, a bigger job to come back to and have to do it before I take my mature. Like I've been there and I've seen it with the unicorns, magical mamas. You get that brewing creative empress energy and stuff starts to happen. So embrace it. Ask for support. You'll get what you need. Okay. That's great. Totally funny. Mental shift. Okay, SG. Will things change for the positive? Okay, we have to do one question. So make sure you phrase one question in a way that I can answer yes or no to. Because there's, will things change for the positive? That's one question. And should you move on? That's another question. So which one do we want to go with? And I'll pull for that question. Okay. Erica, you're welcome. It's exciting, right? Okay. Should you move on? Got it. Okay. Here we go. So SG, we're asking from the relationship that you're in right now, should you move on? Okay. This is a no, because this is the marriage card. This is forward. This is celebrations. This is connections. This is commitments. This is doing it together. This is celebration. Like this is literally the marriage card because it's under HOPA. And you know, if it's not relationship cards, then it's about doing it together, like reaching consensus, reaching compromise, reaching a way that you guys can move forward together. So that's a no, you should not move on just yet, because the universe is saying that this will work out in a connected way. I'm not saying that it means marriage forever and ever and ever. I'm saying that there is a capacity to move forward together and compromise that could be really joyful and really celebrated. Right? Like, I can't make it up. That's the card that came out. So 4 is about consistency, persistence, and long-term. It's about celebration. It's about honoring where things are right now, but it is about compromise in this deck because they're joined together in the same shape. So it's like everybody's got to come to the table. So there's potential for that. I mean, hello. People are capable of changing. I mean, sometimes we just have to give them space and the nudges and the clarity of like, hey, I am going to move on if things don't change. Sometimes that is what people need to hear. Sometimes that shakes them out. It's cold water on their face and they go, oh, and they really think about what life would be like. So make sure that you're communicating clearly and doing all the functional things. Don't leave it up to the ethers. You still have to meet the universe halfway, right? I'm just finishing out because it's 11:14 and I always end at 11:15. And I'm so sorry. I just took the last question. But we will have our full moon ritual the week. I'm going to look at the right week, the week of the full moon, and I'll do these questions again, where it's open forum. And the first 10 to 11 people who ask their questions that are here, I absolutely answer everybody just in order and whoever types first. I'm trying to see what week it is of the full moon, week of the 19th, that Tuesday. Yeah, so just come back for the full moon ritual and I'll do it then because I love them, but like trying to honor the time also, okay? So if you all are interested in membership over at UnicornWellness.Studio for the new moon, the full moon, the monthly tarot readings, the guided meditation, and the workouts, 30-minute workouts every 3 days, there'll be a code below this video that you can use for 30 days free on the site. There's no strings attached. Just go try it. Also, if you want to book a private reading with me, tandygutierrez.com is where that happens at. The Deep Dive to Thrive 90-minute full wellness consultations are on sale through April, but the spots are going fast. So if you're interested in that and you don't see a spot on my calendar, please reach out to me. You can leave a message here. You can find me on Instagram, Tandy at UnicornWellness.Studio. I will find a place for you if you want to do the Deep Dive to Thrive, okay? And I will be back next week on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and come join me next week. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for when I go live. Sometimes I go live later on in the week, sometimes I don't, Happy new moon. I love you all so very much. And I'm going to sign off. And if you need me, you know where to find me, and I'll be back next week. Okay? Bye, you guys. Yay! You all are so welcome. I love Mondays and Tuesdays. I do. All right. Bye, you guys.